Bună dimineața și bun găsit la BU. Sunt Sabina Iosub și vă invit să rămâneți alături de mine în următoarea jumătate de oră. O să discutăm chestiuni legate de mediu. Today, here with me in Brussels is the European Commissioner for Environment. Thank you so much, Virginijus Sinkevičius.
Thank you for having me.
It is very important to discuss about what you've done during this mandate, because there are a lot of things that have changed actually in the last 5 years. And thank you again for being with us at BEU Antena 3 CNN from day one. What is the biggest achievement, in your opinion, in these 5 years?
Well, I think, first of all, von der Leyen's Commission focused on a double goal, which was Green Deal and digitalization. Of course, in ideal world, we would probably have gone even further, but in between we had a COVID pandemic, which we had to deal with, and I'm truly proud how Commission managed to deal with it. Saving the Schengen, ensuring that all member states, doesn't matter, bigger ones, smaller ones, receiving vaccine at the same time. So really having this truly European moment. Secondly, of course, Russia's illegal, unjustified invasion in Ukraine, which put enormous pressure, but also, you know, how Europeans reacted, how the Commission reacted. I think it was strong, unwavering support to Ukraine. Strong support of Ukrainian people, which lasts until nowadays. That inevitably, of course, put pressure on our households as regards the energy, which, of course, had also energy price increase, had a push for inflation. So Commission always had to sort of react, but despite that, we still managed to go ahead with our most important reforms, and in particular the European Green Deal, which I think now is not only something that Europe is implementing, but it's our competitiveness policy, where United States, China, India doing similar work.
But is also weak point, taking into account the protests that we've seen in the recent month. I'm referring to the agricultural sector.
So, you know, I completely disagree when people say that farmers protesting because of the Green Deal.
But a lot of are saying this. That's why I'm asking.
It's because I think it's easy to say, but you have to go member state by member state and look what farmers are demanding. For example, the protests that we saw in Brussels. First of all, they focused on common agricultural policy, on GAIAC 6, 7 and 8. Second, what farmers were asking was the trade measures for Ukraine, ensuring that cheap products from Ukraine are not undercutting our farmers' price. The third thing which farmers were asking was a reciprocity measures with the high standards that our farmers are obliged to fulfill as regards providing the food. They also want the same rules in our trade agreements. So there is very little on the Green Deal. When I look country I know best, in Lithuania, farmers protest. First of all, they focused on government taxes, which were put, and they were, you know, on gas, certain type of gas, which were the highest in the EU. And secondly, it was the usage of the blue diesel, which farmers use. So the change of rules, which of course frustrated farmers because they were unclear. And the third thing was the grasslands declaration, which started since 2012. So again, not really a Green Deal. I understand that it's easier to say shifting it on the Green Deal, but that's absolutely not the Green Deal policies. I think what's most important is that farmers, they do not feel that their work, the hard work that they're doing, is respected enough. That there is a big cultural difference between people living in the cities and not realizing how food arrives on their plate, and the farmer who does a very, very difficult job. And I think sometimes that dialogue missed. And I'm extremely happy that President von der Leyen initiated a strategic dialogue together with farmers, together with the NGOs, looking for a ways after election on how we're going to build our common agricultural policy.
So actually it's not a fight between those who are protecting the environment and those who want to the agriculture area to be good?
I think
it's a fake.
I think many wants to believe that, and of course, economic activities such as farming, fishing, it puts pressure on the environment. But I haven't met a farmer who would say that he doesn't need water, he doesn't need clean soil, fertile soil. Farmers, they know very well, and fundamentally we do agree that healthy nature, healthy biodiversity is first of all a guarantee for farms to thrive. Because if you have a degraded soil, if you have water scarcity, if you don't have pollination, I mean, technologies cannot replace these functions. And you know, farmers are the ones that you don't need to convince them about. I think the biggest issue at the end of the day is rules. On one part, you have, you know, many different rules that are coming from Brussels, but on the other side, you have them piled up on the national stage with the papers that farmers need to fill in. It's not a secret that very often winter period by farmers is called paper filling period because they have to, you know, ensure that they oblige to all the CAP recommendations. I think we need to make it much more digital, clearer to them. And of course, when there is significant change in any of the legislation, government has to talk with the stakeholders. Farmers has to be informed, they have to realize, because in many cases, I had to study, of course, when the Green Deal was put as a sort of the one being to be blamed. So I looked at those cases, member state by member state. In many cases, farmers, for example, they find out about certain government decision only when they are declaring, you know, when they are declaring their farmland. That's not the way to find out about change. Farmers already feel under huge pressure.
Nature restoration law, what's the impact?
On farming.
On farming and on each member state?
So at this moment, you know, it's still difficult to say. It still has to pass the final vote in the parliament, which we're going to have at the end of February. And then member states will have 2 years to implement and prepare basically the restoration plans.
What will actually mean for me as a citizen of the European Union?
First of all, I hope, you know, when you look at the cases of Romania, you will be enjoying cleaner air in the cities. The farmers will enjoy more fertile soil, more healthy soil, access to clean water for all citizens across the member states. Very important, because I know that nature restoration law is also being sort of blamed for farmers' protests.
Yeah, it was.
But you know, the law is still doesn't exist. It's not adopted. Secondly, farmland is excluded from the nature restoration. So in the law itself, there is no obligations for a farmland. That's a very important part, which I think very often are forgotten by those who try to blame the nature restoration law. So I think what we have to focus is, of course, first of all, on our most precious and richest biodiverse places across Europe, ensuring that they are kept in a good care. We need to do a much better job as regards the swamps, because they are absorbing enormous amounts of carbon. And trust me, there is plenty of work to do across Europe without a farmland. Unfortunately, but if you look at our ecosystem, 70% of them are in bad status or in declining one. So there is plenty of work for member states to do.
We are trying a lot to reduce the pollution in the European Union and in general, actually. Are we closer to that goal nowadays, in your opinion?
So, of course, we have significantly improved, and you cannot say that progress hasn't been done. At some point, we had 1 million premature deaths in EU due to diseases related to air pollution. Today, we are arriving at around 280,000 per year. It's still too many citizens that we lose due to air pollution, but the progress has been done. Now, it's one of the final works that we are finalizing together with the Council and the Parliament is our Ambient Air Quality Directive, which I hope we will finalize in the upcoming trialogue, which will, of course, significantly improve the current situation of air quality in EU and in particular, of course, our cities. Because bigger cities, they are the ones that suffer the most. We have exceptional cases due to geographical locations, but mainly if you look, it's due to transport. The biggest cities and industry that suffer the most. And so citizens in those cities suffer the most. And the worst is that, you know, these kind of pressures like pollution, they do biggest impact on the most vulnerable ones, on those who cannot afford themselves a living condition near to a park. So, you know, this is important policies on the way that they also protect the most vulnerable groups.
I know that a big contributor to this pollution is the war. The war in Ukraine has a huge impact in terms of environment, and you've been several times in Ukraine to discuss, even with President Zelensky. I've seen the situation over there. What is to be done?
So, first, you know, currently we don't have data that war in Ukraine would have impact on EU, on pollution in EU. I'm pretty sure, of course, as regards the bordering countries, especially the Black Sea, that's going to have impact. But at this moment, we cannot measure it. The different cases in Ukraine, pollution is huge. Environment has become a silent victim of war, where you have, you know, Russian military deliberately, they choose as their targets water treatment facilities. So that means, you know, living citizens without clean water and, you know, pollution spilling into the rivers, chemicals treatment facilities, chemical storages, which also, you know, ends up with spilling large quantities of chemicals. Large hectares of forest are burned and mined. The mining efforts will take years and years, because at this moment around 55,000 hectares of Ukraine is mined, and they have demined only 7,000 hectares, which means, you know, the mining effort will also require a lot of environment being just brushed away. So therefore we have prepared a compact sort of 50 recommendations to Ukraine how to ensure that environmental crimes, they also documented. We, of course, when we see the conflict, we first of all focus on human lives lost, and that's absolutely normal. But I think it's extremely important to hold Russia accountable for environmental damage that they have done, because environmental damage will last long and will put pressure inevitably on the citizens too. And at this moment, we already account over 3,600 environmental crimes, and the amount of the damage that is done is over 54 billion euros.
They will need a lot of help. Can they face this situation alone?
Impossible, I think, is to, you know, rebuild Ukraine only by themselves. That will definitely require a global effort. And we need to find a ways how to fund, you know, support Ukraine, because they're still in war. On the other hand, you have territories where people are ready to return, but their homes, their lives are completely ruined. So on one hand, you need to, despite the ongoing war, despite the ongoing missiles attacks and drone Shaheds attacks, you need to invest into rebuilding of Ukraine. On top of that, funding and supporting Ukraine's effort to defend from the Russian aggression. I think we need to find ways to fund it from the sources that are not coming from taxpayers' money. That could be frozen Russian assets, which would go into the fund, or taxing Western companies that are still operating in Russia. So they are greedy enough, you know, to work with the regime who opened the full-scale invasion against one of the European countries. So I think it's fair to tax them additionally and ensure that those money are used in support of Ukraine.
Let's discuss a little bit about my country, about Romania. You know the situation in my country, and you are focusing on each member state, as we know. What are the progresses, if they are, made by Romania?
First of all, let's start with the good or a better. And I'd say that, illegal logging case, Romania has done a significant progress, and we continue to evaluate and work very closely. And the review of the forest management plans show that Romania addressed most of the Commission concerns. So, we have SUMAL system, we have new forest management plans confirmed. So as regards the illegal logging, I would say that that currently the plan meets Commission's concerns, and that's a significant progress. However, there is another big challenge, big issue for Romania, which is waste management. And at this moment, if you look even at the numbers, how Romania is doing, it's doing the worst in the EU as regards the recycling. The plastic recycling rates are the lowest as regards dealing and with the municipal waste. And this is the first time since Romania is the member of the EU when the court actually gave a fine to Romania. Now Romania pays fine for not implementing the waste management directives. And I think this is an extremely important area which Romania needs to address, because it's also, pollution puts enormous pressure on the environment. It's a lost opportunities, because many European countries that do recycling activities, they of course also have a thriving circular economy sector. So I truly hope that Romania will not miss this opportunity, and of course that we can work in a way that we get around this infringement and Romania stops paying the fines, because I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of important areas where to spend taxpayers' money.
Have you discussed with the Romanian part about this situation recently?
Recently not, but we, of course, it's been ongoing, long case. It's not that everyone find out just a couple days ago. But we've been constantly, in close contact with the minister, with his team, ensuring, of course, that if there is a need for Commission's help, Commission is there.
You've set the pluses that are on the situation of illegal logging. You've set the minuses that are a lot of them. We are the worst country, you've said, in terms of waste management. We have also some discussions about the air pollutions in some cities, and I think some small progresses were made over there.
Yeah, so, on air quality, Romania was condemned by the Court of Justice of the EU of breaches of air quality standards of particulate matter, and could face also penalties in this sector. And Romania has to make sure that all relevant measures are taken into account to avoid and decrease the levels of particulate matter and comply with the legislation. We sent a recent questionnaire to Romania in summer 2023. So we hope, of course, to receive the full plan and how Romania will deal with this case.
On the situation of bears, are there any news?
You know that the Commission has started together with the member states, and Commission proposed to member states lowering the status of protection of large carnivores through the Berne Convention. Now it's in the hands of the committee decision, which then can go ahead further in amending the Berne Convention.
I don't know if you have any other news regarding Romania or not.
I'm pretty sure you have, a tight year of elections, so that's going to be a good timing to further discuss the issues that we already discussed with you.
Okay, what is your, in the end of our discussion, we only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, what is the most important message that you want to send to Romania? All eyes and all the ears are on you now.
Well, it's going to be an important year. I know you have a number of elections. So,
all types of elections
so exactly.
possible.
So people will hold in their hands a very important choice of the future that they want to see. I truly hope that they will choose a pro-European future, which first of all means prosperity to Romania, to Romanian people. It's never a straightforward, an easy path, but I think this is the right one to take. And I hope that all those challenges that people currently face, we will be able to overcome them together with the strengthened European policies, policies that are addressing the matters that people are facing across the EU. But I think most importantly, people will be fed many promises. A lot of fear-mongering is going to be in place. It's important to make a choice and choose those people who are able to create the future of Europe, a future of Romania with the current tools, because many will promise miracles, but I think it's important to have a look at those who can professionally address the issues that people are facing today.
As the youngest commissioner, how is the European Union looking right now after 5 years of being in the middle of the EU decision?
I think EU looks stronger than ever before, and EU proved that it's capable to address significant challenges. As I've said, COVID, war, Russia's war against Ukraine, where that it was very difficult for us as regards some member states' dependency on gas, and we still managed to overcome. Russian propaganda was screaming all across the world that Europe is going to freeze. Nothing as such happened because we were quick to react. So I think we are able and we have Europe that is fit for future, Europe that reacts. We need to ensure that, of course, people see it and they face it, and of course they value it.
Thank you so much for being with us at BU, Commissioner.
Thank you for having me.
Vouă celor de acasă vă spun să rămâneți pe Antena 3 CNN. Nu uitați că ne revedem și sâmbătă viitoare la 9:30. Cu bine și sănătoși să fim!